Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Arinda Talks. I'm your host Arinda and today we're talking about Airwolf. The fictional Airwolf is described as an advanced prototype supersonic helicopter with stealth capability and a formidable arsenal. Airwolf was designed by Charles Henry Moffat, a genius with a psychopathic taste for torturing and killing women, and built by the firm, a division of the Central Intelligence Agency. A play on the term the company, a nickname for the CIA. As the series begins, Moffat and his crew steal Airwolf during a live-fire weapon test. During the theft, Moffat opens fire on the firm's bunker, killing a United States senator and seriously injuring the firm deputy director Michael Goldsmith's Briggs III, codename Archangel. Moffat takes Airwolf to Liberia, where he begins performing acts of aggression, such as sinking an American destroyer, as a service for Gaddafi, who allows Moffat to keep Airwolf on Liberian soil. Archangel recruits the reclusive Stringfellow Hawk, a former test pilot during the development of Airwolf. To recover the gunship, Archangel leaves his assistant Gabrielle Endemore, who becomes Hawk's love interest, at Hawk's cabin to brief him for his mission. A week later, after an undercover operation in Liberia is killed in the line of duty, Gabrielle is sent in undercover and Hawk is sent in sooner than originally planned. With the assistance of pilot and father figure Dominic Santini, Hawk finds and recovers Airwolf, but Gabrielle is tortured and killed by Moffat. Hawk obliterates Moffat with a hail of missiles from Airwolf before returning to the United States. Instead of returning the gunship, Hawk and Santini booby-trapped Airwolf and hide it in the lair, a large natural cave in the remote Valley of the Gods. Hawk refused to return Airwolf until the firm can find and recover his brother St. John, who'd been missing in action since the Vietnam War. To obtain access to Airwolf, Archangel offers Hawk protection from other government agencies who might try to recover Airwolf. In return, Hawk and Santini must fly missions on national importance for the firm. The film during the first three seasons served as both ally and enemy for Hawk and Santini when an opportunity to seize Airwolf presented itself. Firm operations often took it. The first season of the series was dark, arc-driven and quite reflective of the contemporary Cold War, with the firm personnel strictly dressed in white, implicitly boasting that wearing white hats distinguished them as good instead of evil. Hawk remained unconvinced, and Santini was skeptical. Also, this was explained in the season 1 episode Daddy Gone on Hunting. Early episodes frequently detailed the efforts of the United States government to recover Airwolf from Hawk, who is officially charged with having stolen it. Because CBS wanted to make the series more family-oriented, the program was transformed during season 2 into a more light-hearted show, with Hawk and Santini portrayed as cooperative partners with the firm. This persisted into the 4th season with the newly introduced company as the new crew of Airwolf. The flight-capable Airwolf helicopter was a cosmetically modified Bell 222, serial number 4785. sometimes unofficially called a Bell 222A. During filming of the series, the helicopter was owned by Jetcopter Inc. of Van Nuys, California. The helicopter was eventually sold after the show ended and became an ambulance chopper in Germany, where it crashed in a thunderstorm and was destroyed on June 6, 1992, killing all 3 crew members. The concept behind Airwolf was a supersonic armed helicopter that could be disguised as a civilian vehicle, a wolf in sheep's clothing. Andrew Probert designed the Airwolf uniform insignia patch worn by flight crew members, a snarling bat-winged wolf head wearing a sheepskin. Welcome, Lars, and thank you for joining me.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for answering my call in the Airwolf fan club on Facebook.
Oh yeah, no worries.
So, where are you from and how long have you been an Airwolf fan?
I'm from Norway. I've been an Airwolf fan for pretty much since I was a kid. I would say 10 years. I would say about 8 or 10 years, I guess. So yeah, the thing is that Airwolf wasn't shown on Norwegian television before '86. And then they had a lot of reruns from '87. You know what I mean? Season 4. So just when season 4 came on. So yeah, pretty much. That's it. No. So yeah. So I've been a fan since I was around 8 years old.
Is it also nostalgic for you? For me, it's it's a series from the 90s, so it's part of my youth, and for me, it's nostalgic in a way.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I grew up with A-Team, Airwolf, Knight Rider, Magnum PI, and of course Airwolf. So, I mean, I've been a huge fan of those series since I was a little kid, and I mean, it's nostalgia for sure, but in the end, it's just I don't know, they're great shows. Even though when you're watching it now, you can clearly see that Airwolf suffers a lot from a lot of mistakes. But I mean, it is a great show, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, I'm a huge fan. Anyways, I'm gonna be a huge fan till I die, you know what I mean? So it's all about that, I guess. So
I see a lot of DVDs behind you and a lot of movie posters. So can I presume that you are like a film freak, or?
Yeah, I love films. I'm a filmmaker myself, and I make music as well. But yeah, I do have a certain a video store.
Wow, guys, you need to see this. This whole room is full of DVDs and whatever else.
Actually, it's VHS, rental films. And, yeah.
And it's just
fun,
VHR as well. VHS.
Yeah, the movie. Yeah, exactly. And of course,
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, So.
So, when did Airwolf come into your life? How did this interest started?
It started with the helicopter, of course, because it was different, back in the days. It
was just badass.
Oh yeah, for sure. You can see this black helicopter with all the weapons, and then you're hooked. Oh shit, this is pretty cool. You know what I mean? And of course, you have the actors as well, like John Michael Vincent, Ernst Borgnine, Alex Cord. All those just goes well together, you know what I mean? So they created this atmosphere that made the show, not just the helicopter, but the actors, So yeah, for me, I've been a huge fan of John Michael Vincent and Ernest Borgnine for a while. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, seeing them on the screen. It's just like, oh, they're good actors. So
Mm.
yeah.
So, what about, and I can ask you this, of course, also as a musician, but also like a film freak and maybe a fan to watch this like that. What do you think about the Airwolf intro team?
Oh yeah, Sylvester Levi. I think it's announced. I think it's announced like that. But he's a great composer. You know what I mean? And I love the '80s stuff. The synthesizers and yeah, pretty much everything about the '80s is just like golden for me because I was born in the '80s.
Yeah, me too.
So I mean the theme song is just unique to be honest. You know what I mean? It's just like how can somebody just come up with that sort of thing? And that's kind of like I'm like shit. I wish I was like that. You know what I mean?
It's
To
so
make a
recognizable.
certain. What's that?
It is so recognizable, that intro
Oh
team.
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. You know what I mean? I do love the synthesizer stuff that Sylvester did later on, but I do love the orchestral stuff that he did for
Mm.
season one because it feels more, you know, rougher or tougher kind of
Mm.
thing. You know what I
Mm.
mean? It has a certain, punch to it. Instead of the synthesizer stuff because I don't know. I love synthesizers, but there's something about the orchestral stuff that he did for season one. You know.
Have you ever made a remix of the intro team, or just you say no? I'm not going to do that.
No, no. The thing is that I respect Mark J. Cairns that did Herbal themes, and they did both him and I think his name is John, the Polish guy. They did an incredible job recreating all the stuff that Sylvester did. But the thing is that I don't like to remake stuff. You know what I mean? As a
Mm.
musician myself, I like to create new things. Like my own stuff. But I had a discussion with Adam, a friend of mine in the season four fan group, and we talked about maybe recreating some of the Dan Milner stuff that Dan Milner did music for season four, because I mean I love the season four music. You know what I mean? And sadly, there's nothing out there basically except
Mm.
for a few songs. But I would love to recreate some of the season four stuff. But then again, I hate remaking stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's
So
just like so. No, go ahead.
um. So if they're gonna make a reboot of Airwolf, what would you like to see in it, and what kind of music would you like to expect, or what would you create it for itself?
Uh, Good question. I don't think they're gonna ever reboot Airwolf, or who knows, but I don't think that's gonna happen anytime soon. But I would love to see like a Hollywood film, like they did with the A Team. That would be cool.
Mm.
You know what I mean? I would love to see James Spader as Moffat because James Spader is just an awesome actor. And but as for music, I mean, I love Steve Jablonsky. He's a great composer. If you know about him, if you know him, he did music with Transformers and all that stuff. He's a good
Mm.
composer, and I think he would. I don't know. Maybe he would done a good job for the film. I don't know. It's hard to say. You know what I mean? Because there's just too many composers out there. So
Mm.
and air and I mean Airwolf is just like a subject that nobody wants to touch. I guess I don't know.
I think so too. Yeah, there is some of the series from the 80s and 90s. You can make reboots of it because yeah, whatever. And there are some of the series and movies that you say, there's just one original and that's it.
Yeah.
And I think Alf is one of them.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? I don't know why. I think like A Team is more popular, even though A Team was more cheesier show because nobody ever died in the show, you know?
Yeah.
So, and of course Knight Rider because, but then again
Mm,
David Hasselhoff is really pushing Knight Rider out there still today. So that's why it's kind of like a cult thing. Like everybody loves Knight Rider based off David Hasselhoff is still,
mm.
so interested in Knight Rider. But for Airwolf, I'm not gonna. It's never gonna happen. I guess maybe if John Michael Vincent was still alive and if he still had the interest in the show or whatsoever, but yeah, I don't know. Probably not. It's gonna happen.
Well, say never, never, but I know what you and I understand what you mean. So let's talk about a little bit of the about the chopper itself. I find it really an interesting helichopper to be as Arrow, of course, and I always like to see it when it. There are certain themes in each episode, and like in music, and when they are going into a mission again with the
Oh
music,
yeah, yeah.
and I always loved that. It's like, okay, we're going to kick ass, and it's if I think in one of a kind special because there were it's so recognizable, and
Oh yeah.
I think the chopper itself is special as well, especially at
Oh
that
yeah.
time.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, tell me, what do you think about Airwolf as the chopper?
I mean, Andrew Probert did an incredible job creating these sketches, designs for Airwolf. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Especially like to have something built on top of a real chopper, based off, drawings. So, I mean, I would say they did an incredible job creating Airwolf out of a helicopter with all these add-ons with the weapons and
Mm.
all that stuff, and it was really special to be honest because I mean for an 80s show that was kind of kind of weird to see. I don't know, something like that become a reality to be honest. And but I mean same with Knight Rider, when they created Kit with all the add-ons for season 4 I believe, the super pursuit mode, when he pushes this
Mm.
button and all these parts just comes out of the car. You know what I mean? I mean, that was something big in the 80s, especially with
Yeah.
TV series. So, yeah, I mean, it's always going to be special. Airwolf is always going to be a special helicopter because it's just like, yeah, you really haven't seen anything like that,
Mm-hmm.
later on.
Yeah, that's correct.
So,
It's if you watch in the older series that were around that time, and even now, there isn't like a series like Owlwolf that is around a chopper that is one of the head person characters, if I can say it like that. But I think it's also like, and we see that very in the season itself. So season 1 was very dark. Season 2 and 3, 4, they wanted to more like a family orientated. Um,
mm, right.
I think it's just you could see that they made changes, and I always was thinking the episodes were sometimes quite interesting because it's also there were some lessons in it in the way of how it's the history, world history was. But
Mm,
um, I think it's
right.
just the whole uh, atmosphere changed after season 2, and like Dominic and Hawk became more like associates from the firm instead of being the enemy in a way. So
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Was it?
Well, season one will always be my favorite season because I love the whole Cold War theme, and how Stringful Hawk was this reclusive character that didn't really care much about other people except himself and Dominic, of course, because he always gave this cold shoulder to everybody that he didn't know. He didn't really care about people. But when they changed to the family theme in season two, he became more of a ladies' man. It kind of became this. The whole character just changed. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And I was like, oh man, that's terrible. But as a kid,
Mm,
you didn't care about that. You were like, oh, Airwolf, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
when you get older, you notice these changes, and then it's kind of like, oh man, they really made him a softie. You know what I mean? He became this guy who wants to date other women. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was thinking
And
that too because I rewatched it lately, and when I was at season 3, I was really thinking, dude, they are making him so like a player. That is so not
mm,
hard that we know,
right,
you know?
yeah, season three was terrible. And well, it had a great opening. You know what I mean? The first episode, The Horn of Plenty, is a freaking great episode. You know what I mean? And I just wish that they would continue going into that direction. You know what I mean? But then again, they changed it a lot. Of course, Airwolf was canceled, I believe, halfway through season three. So they just needed to just like, hey, we just need to finish this. You know what I mean? So they probably just wrote a lot of crappy stuff during the along the way. That's so I'm not a fan of season three. It has a couple of great episodes, you know what I
Mm,
mean? But it really drastically changed. The ratings were low, and of course, John's addiction was, taking a toll on, the production and all that stuff. His stuntman had to do most of the acting for some reason, and that's where like season four comes in because season four were like ahead of its time. They were adding in horror elements that were like, shit, this is pretty cool. You know what I mean? So
mm,
I mean, season four gets a lot of hate because it's not. The fans are like, that's not Airable because they don't have John Michael Vincent or whatsoever. But I mean, season four is a great. If you watch season four today on Blu-ray, you'll notice like, shit, this is pretty good. You know what I mean?
mm,
I'm a huge fan of season four. You know, I mean that's why me and a couple of buddies runs the season four fan group on Facebook, and the group has all of the actors like Barry Van Dyke, Michelle Scarabelli, Anthony Edwards. I think that's his name, and of course Geraint. And we have uh, directors, we have producers. There's a lot of people in this group, like casts and crew and all that stuff. So if you're a fan of season four, I highly recommend join the group
mm.
because there's a lot of great people there.
Yeah. That's pretty
But
cool.
yes, yeah, it is. You know what I mean. So, but season four is what it is. They had a
Mm,
lower budget. You know what I mean, but they still managed to pull off a great production no matter what. You know what I mean? Like mixing in stuff with B-roll footage that we didn't know existed until season four came along.
mm,
And of course, the use of the 88K, which is a stage lady. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great stuff in season four that I think fans are more like they're like, oh, it sucks because you know what I mean. The
mm,
the actors can't the actors can't act or whatsoever. But I mean, yeah, I think like in the beginning of the season, I think that the actors were like uncomfortable because they didn't really know how to portray going from a big series and taking over the torch. But as the series progresses, you can see they're clearly getting comfortable
mm.
doing this because the acting is getting better and better throughout the season. So, but yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
It is what it is,
Some
yeah. But still
exactly.
awesome.
Yeah, it sure is. Season 4. I love season 4.
Do you have any favorite episodes?
Mm, from the whole series?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I do. Season 1 has a lot of great episodes. I believe, like, I think, like, all of the all of season 1 is kind of like my favorite episodes.
Mm.
But I do love Proof Through the Night. You know what I mean? I just love the whole idea that Airwolf is going into, I believe it's Russia. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's Russia without any guns. You know what I mean? They're gonna pick up this,
Yeah. I
yeah,
remember that one. Yeah.
this former agent of Archangel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's one of my favorite episodes. I do like the pilot as well, but I mean, yeah, there's a lot of great episodes season 1. Season 2, I don't know. There's so many episodes, but um, I don't know. I don't really have any sort of favorite episodes at the moment. I just enjoy them all.
Mm.
But for season 3, I do like the Horde of Plenty. I do like what's that episode called? I can't remember the episode, but it's about this boy who tries to help his father because his father gets kidnapped.
Yeah.
Because I can't remember the name of the episode.
That was with
Well,
the.
yeah, and a child should lead. I like
Yeah.
that episode. It's a really family orientated, but
Mm.
I do like the episode.
Yeah.
And but I mean, yeah, not many season 3 episodes. I just watch them because I just like to see, Airwolf and
Mm.
the battle
Mm.
scenes and all that stuff. But for season 4, Mime Troop, Death Train, the Puppet Master, and what is it called again? Malduke. Yeah, I mean, there's so many episodes that I
Mm.
do like. So, but I do have some that I always go back to.
Yeah, I understand. If there is somebody who never has seen Elf, this can be a kid or just uh someone who is our age. What episode or what season can you recommend them?
I would recommend season 1, because season 1 is basically what started Wolf, and that was the right approach for the theme,
Mm.
of the series before they change it. So season 1, of course. I would also recommend them to watch like season 4, because season 4 was just like I mentioned earlier, like way ahead of its time with using horror elements and
Mm.
just a lot of great stuff basically. So yeah, I would recommend at least season 1, and of course season 4.
Mm.
Uh, but I mean, because season 2 and season 3 were more like family orientated, so it was kind of like it lost its touch, to
Yeah.
be honest. So yeah, uh, episodes. I would say the pilot is a good one because
Yeah.
that's kind of like where it all starts. I would say like Echoes from the Past, basically because it's about Gabrielle. When Hawk
Yeah.
crashes, you get to see the flashback of Gabrielle, which makes sense to watch based off the pilot. And of course, Mind of the Machine is a great episode. You know, where you get to see both the stage lady and the 76S in the same room, so that's pretty cool. You know,
Mm. Yeah. Do you own anything like models of Airwolf or
models.
merchandise or?
Um, Not much merchandise, to be honest. I do have some, VHS, like I showed you. I do have a signed picture of John Michael Vincent and a
Oh,
signed picture
cool.
of Alex Cord. Uh, I, Alex Cord joined, I believe, Facebook in 2017, and then I wrote to him on Facebook. It's like, hey, could I send you a picture for you to sign? And it's like, yeah, just send it to this address. So I got it back, so it says like to Lars and all that stuff. So and and I do have like a couple of patches that I just you know
Mm.
put on my jackets, you know, so it turned into kind of like an Airwolf
Yeah.
jacket, you know. So other than that, I don't really have well, I don't really have much Airwolf merchandise to be honest,
Mm.
because it's hard to find. I know in Argentina they
True.
made shitloads of toys like vehicles
Mm.
and action figures, all that stuff. So, but yeah, not much.
Do you have any idea how big of a fan base Airwolf has? Because I'm curious if there are also like just Airwolf events or conventions, or I saw those videos that they're building Airwolf as a model and they fly with it in contests, etc. So, or is it
Uh,
that just not your cup of tea?
well, I think that Airwolf has a huge fan base, but the thing is that I don't know. Isn't like with most shows that people just find stuff cheesy like 30 years later? Like I was a huge Power Rangers fan as a kid, and I started watching that like a couple of years back, and I was like, holy shit, this is pretty crappy. This is pretty awful. You know,
Yeah, I
the
know what you
acting,
mean.
the how cheesy the whole show is. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I believe that most fans, would say the same thing about Airwolf and Knight Rider when they're
Mm,
watching the stuff like 30 years later. You know what I mean? But I mean, but I do believe it has a huge fan base. You know what I mean? There's a lot of groups on Facebook. You know what I mean? I'm one of the admins on the fan club, and there's also like another Airwolf, Facebook group just
mm,
called Airwolf. You know what I mean? And of course, there's other groups as well. I think there's one called Remembering Airwolf or something.
mm,
But yeah, but I don't know. I think like some fans just loves to just talk about it and just remember the cool
mm.
helicopter. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
you could be a huge fan of Airwolf and still say it's a crappy show, but I like the helicopter or like the
Yeah,
theme
yeah,
song.
yeah. Yeah.
So
So let's talk a little bit of Archangel. Um,
yes,
he is a how can I say this? He's just a character that is always there, and what most of us will always find. And I just talked about that with my partner, and he always said he always wears white, and if he's going to like the desert or whatever, there's no dust on his suit. So of course we know they did that because of the firm being like the good guys, and
yeah,
in a way, but it is still funny to see that they are all wearing white, and if there are explosions or whatever else more, that suit stays white.
yeah. I know. I mean, he probably just changed a lot. I mean, throughout the days. I mean, he was a lot. He was working in the office pretty much all day long. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So I guess he doesn't get you know
Well, he
dirty or
does
something
some
like that.
missions.
Yeah, I mean, I love the episodes where he works as an engineer. I mean, in season one, Bite of the Jackal, and of course, the Deadly Circle in season three. I wish they used Archangel a little bit more for missions
Yeah.
because I mean, he was part of the team, but not as that team.
Mm.
But I mean, yeah. So I wish they would use him a little bit more in Airwolf.
Mm. Yeah. Because there was recently I saw one of the episodes, and that was, I believe, Dominic and Hawk were somewhere. Hawk was captured, and I forgot the lady's name. And
Oh yeah,
Archangel
Kate.
needed to fly Airwolf to rescue them. I thought of was in where was that? Maybe Argentina or Colombia. That was with the revolution.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's Prisoner of Yesterday, right?
I
The
believe, yeah.
episode where you had this not dictator, but you
Mm,
have Hawk is fishing with this
the
guy,
doctor,
and
yeah.
and the guy gets kidnapped, so they have to go to I believe it's not Argen. I can't remember the name, but I think it's that's the episode you're referring
Yeah,
to.
yeah. But so what is your impression of Archangel? Because Archangel, yeah, we know that he was like one of the founders of the firm, but also, and the funny part is, if we are in Archangel's office, you see those techno modern computers, and it was very funny to see. If you see it, if you watch it now, then you would probably say, "Oh, super old fashioned," and that is just the beginning of the computer, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, Archangel. I always liked him as a character. He was kind of this guy that I don't know. He was working for the firm, which pretty much was corrupt. You know
Mm,
what I mean? Because they were like helping the enemies with providing weapons. You know what I mean? Which we see a lot in season one and all that stuff. So I think he came out as a bad guy, but he was still a good guy because he was always like helping Hawk and all,
mm.
even though he was doing this the opposite, providing weapons and all that stuff to terrorists, pretty much. But I mean, Al Score was a great actor. He really nailed that role as Archangel. So I do like Archangel. I think he, like I mentioned, like I wish they used him more
Mm.
on missions in Airwolf as the engineer or whatsoever. So, but yeah, lost potential to be using him way more.
Isn't that also not because he was the founder of the firm, and because of that accident that he wasn't that mobile in that way anymore?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sure about it. I never thought about that, but I believe that he just wanted to create this empire. I don't know,
Mm.
and still, you know, I think that the whole thing that when he about the firm when they're trying to build Airwolf and the whole mission just went you know wrong. Basically when Moffat stole Airwolf, I think it's just like, oh shit. We don't know what to do anymore, and now we don't even have Airwolf in position anymore because Hawk stole it pretty much.
Mm.
So we have to do like so we have to do missions for us. You know what I mean? Just to keep maintaining having Airwolf. Because in the end, Hawk could easily just blow it up. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Because so I think that's why I think that's why they also in kind of had to do like Hawk had to do missions for the firm based off we don't know what Hawk is going to do to Airwolf. You know what I mean? And we can't certainly build another one. Well, technically they did for Airwolf 2,
Yeah,
but
that's what I want to. Yeah,
so
Out of Two was one of the episodes that I was thinking of. Oh, he got he has to prove himself that Aerolf is the better one instead of
yeah.
Aerolf 2, and that was quite an interesting episode because of course the lunatic designer who also flew it was
Oh yeah, Harlan Jenkins. Yeah, he was pretty. He claimed that he was the one that created Airwolf, but
mm,
we all know that he didn't. He was one of the test pilots, during the run with Stringfellow Hawk, but he failed, and
Mm.
Hawk was the better one. I think Airwolf 2 is was pretty much just a useless episode because it was like the pilot all over again, just
Mm.
squished into one like 42 minutes.
Yeah.
It has That's why I think Salvage from season 4 is a way better episode because they did it better, So yeah, Airwolf 2 is okay. I mean, the helicopter is just a regular Bell 222 with just different paint. That's
Mm.
because they didn't have the budget or something to build all these add-ons parts. So they just like, hey, let's just paint it. But yeah, I mean, Salvage, like I said, Salvage was a better episode because they
Mm.
really, it also gave us a lot of B-roll footage from that was scrapped from Airwolf 2, so that's pretty cool.
So, do you have any favorite characters from the series that you
Uh, do
say?
you mean do you mean like the main ones, or do you like think about all the characters that's been throughout the series? Or
Pick one. Maybe there's maybe a character that where you can identify yourself with, or just like about the character. What you say, for example, like with Archangel.
I mean, I really kind of look at myself as a stringful of hawk. I'm not a pilot, but I do certain way is kind of like him because I do like give people a cold shoulder because I really don't care about making friends. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Because I'm really this guy that yeah, I don't want to spend time or waste time get in touch with other people unless I have to. You know what I mean?
mm,
I'm kind of like this person that like yeah, no. So and I do also look at myself as Dominic Santini. I'm a fun guy. I always crack jokes. You know what I mean? So, so yeah. I mean, I think I see a little bit of myself in all of these characters. You know
mm.
what I mean? But so it's kind of fun. I don't know.
So if they are going to make a movie about Airwolf again, but then very modern, maybe a little bit of a different helicopter. What would you like to see in this movie as a fan?
I would love. Oh yeah, I would love to see a lot of action. You know what I mean? It has to be an action film because I mean Airwolf is action, so it has to be a lot of action stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I would love to see them, you know, using the same like overall theme like they did for the series, like the Cold War stuff. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It has to be a little bit dark. You know what I mean? You need to have the actor who plays Stringful Hawk needs to be this guy that really don't care about people. You know what I mean? And you need to have an actor that can portray him. In a
Yeah,
certain way. And you need to have somebody that could, you know, portray Ernest Borgnine as well, like Dominic Santini. And I
do
mean,
you have
yeah,
anyone in mind that you would like to see portray them?
not really. The only one that I could see myself is James Spader. You know me as Moffat because I mean I love James Spader, the guy from The Blacklist. You know what I mean? Raymond Reddington. I think he's a good actor. You know what I mean? And he would be a really good Moffat.
Hmm.
But as for the others, I have no idea, to be honest.
Okay. Um, is there something you like to add in all this, or is there something you still like to talk about, Airwolf?
You mean now,
Yeah.
or if I have something else to refer? No, not really. You know what I mean? Not really, actually. I just it's always fun to talk about Airwolf. Because it's
Yeah.
a show that we all grew up with.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think in one way, yes, a lot of them is like cheesy now and very, well, not done because we have more technology right now, but I do think it's also like a little bit of nostalgic, and it's just we have been grown up with it, so you always will watch some of them when they are binging it again. I remember
Oh yeah,
on the Dutch television they always had, first they had Knight Rider, then Baywatch, Airwolf, and yeah, in front there was Thunderbirds, of course, and Dragon Ball
right.
Z. So it was like, those are just, I think for you and me, just series and movies that it's just, yeah, we just grown up with it. And
Oh
Owls
yeah,
is one
yeah.
of that. So that will always, in one way, in our heart and in our mind, there always be like series like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to top. Like Airwolf is a great show, you know what I mean? So they will never make anything like that, you know what I mean?
Mm.
Because it's just like, how can you replicate something, with a helicopter and stuff? Well, you can do like a kind of rip off, but in the end, it's just like you can't make another
It's
show
Airwolf,
like
yeah.
Airwolf, even though it has a lot of mistakes. But then again, you're on a tight, you know, uh, time. You know, what I mean, you can't really just you don't
Yeah.
have a lot of time when you're shooting one episode. You need to edit the stuff, and
Hmm.
so in the end, like it's a time pressure to be honest.
Hmm.
So, but I mean, it is what it is, and it's still a great show. You know what I mean? You can't go wrong with that. You know what I mean? But of course, when you have like Blu-ray, you get to see the
Hmm.
mistakes a little bit more.
Yeah. But bear in mind,
So
it's like 30 years ago. So, when it aired, so in 30 years, there's a lot more technology and other things that has come out. But I think, in one way, it has its charm like this.
oh yeah,
And
yeah, of course.
and I remember that, okay, you came out of school, you were running, go home, get something to drink, and set for the TV because you have your certain programs that were coming, and Apple was one of
Yeah,
them. So,
yeah.
yeah, well, Lars, thank you very much for joining me. It was very nice talking to you
Oh
about
yeah, thanks for
Airwolf.
having me, you know what I mean? So yeah, be sure to check out the season 4 fan group if you're
I
a
will,
fan of
yeah.
season 4. And of course, check out airwolfonline.com. It's a website that I recently released. You know what I mean? It
Okay.
has a lot of information about,
Hmm.
I tried to gather all the information in one place instead of people
Hmm.
going to one
Yeah.
site to find this and this and this. So you can get a lot of stuff on this website,
Yeah.
including, you know, information about the 76S and of course the Studio Lady and all that stuff. So be sure to check that one out.
Yeah. Give me the links. I will also put this in the description from when I upload this episode. So
Sounds
I
good.
will also put the link on the Facebook groups, and then yeah. Well, it was fun talking to you, and who
Likewise,
knows?
likewise. It was fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's always nice to talk about Airwolf.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly. Dear listeners, thank you for listening, and join me in 2 weeks for a new episode of Arunda Talks. You can listen and subscribe to Arunda Talks on the YouTube channel or join the Facebook group. If you'd like to comment or talk with me about this episode, you can reach out on the Facebook group and the YouTube channel. The next episode is about the little house on the prairie. I also like to tell you about my other podcast called Girls Talking Trek. Together with my co-host Amanda, we recap every 2 weeks a Star Trek episode, starting with Star Trek TNG. All the episodes will be recapped in chronically following. We will approach each episode with humor and a feminine look. Girls Talking Trek is to listen, follow and subscribe on Anchor, Google Podcast, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, the Facebook group, and the YouTube channel. I will see you in 2 weeks.